Hey everyone, today's video is about when you both get kidnapped. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Let's get going. You and Bakugou were walking home from a late night patrol when you were suddenly ambushed by a group of villains. You were outnumbered and outmatched, and before you knew it, you were both tied up and gagged. The villains dragged you to a warehouse and threw you in a dark room. You could hear them talking, but you couldn't make out what they were saying. You were starting to panic, but Bakugo squeezed your hand reassuringly. "It's okay, man," he whispered. "We'll get out of here, I promise you." He didn't know how you could be so calm, but it helped to calm you down a bit. You sat there in silence for what felt like hours, until you heard the door to the room open. The villains came in and started to taunt you. They told you that you were going to die, and that there was nothing you could do about it. Bakugo tried to fight back, but they just laughed at him. One of the villains came over to you and pulled the gag out of your mouth. "Tell us how we could get your quirk, or we'll hurt your boyfriend." You shook your head. "I'm not telling you anything," you said. The villain raised his hand to hit you, but Bakugo intervened. "Don't touch her," he said. The villain turned to Bakugo and punched him in the face. Bakugo staggered back, but he didn't go down. He charged at the villain and started fighting back. The other villains joined in, and soon Bakugo was outnumbered. He was taking a beating, but he refused to get up. You tried to help him, but your hands were tied. Finally, one of the villains hit Bakugo with a powerful blow to the head. He fell to the ground, unconscious. The villain started to gloat, but he didn't give up hope. He knew that Bakugo would wake up and that he would save you. Sure enough, a few minutes later, Bakugo opened his eyes. He saw the villains and charged at them, his quirk exploding with rage. The villains were caught off guard, and Bakugo quickly defeated them. He untied you and helped you to your feet. "Are you okay?" he asked. You nodded. "I'm fine," you said. "Thanks to you." Bakugo smiled. "Of course. I'm always here to protect you." You hugged him tightly. "I love you, Bakugo," you said. "I love you too, man." You and Bakugo walked out of the warehouse, hand in hand. You were both a little shaken up, but you were alive and together, and that's all that mattered. You hailed a cab and went to the nearest hospital. Bakugo's head injury was superficial, but he needed stitches. You also had some bruises and scrapes, but you were otherwise okay. After you both were released from the hospital, Bakugo took you home. He made you some tea and helped you get settled in bed. "I'm so glad you're okay," he said, sitting down next to you. "Me too. I don't know what I would do if something had happened to you, Bakugo." Bakugo leaned over and kissed you gently. "I'm not going anywhere. I'm always going to be here for you." You smiled and closed your eyes. You were so tired, but you felt safe and loved. You knew that everything was going to be okay, as long as you had Bakugo by your side. The next day, you woke up to the smell of breakfast cooking. You got out of bed and went to the kitchen, where Bakugo was making pancakes. "Good morning," he said, smiling at you. "I thought you might be hungry." He sat down at the table, and he served you a plate of pancakes. "Thank you. This looks delicious." You ate your breakfast, and Bakugo cleaned up the kitchen. Then, you both went for a walk in the park. It was a beautiful day, and you were both glad to be alive and together. As you walked, Bakugo took your hand. "I love you." I love you too. You walked hand in hand through the park, enjoying the sunshine and each other's company. You were both grateful for the second chance you had been given, and you vowed to never take each other for granted again. As you walked, you noticed that Bakugou was limping slightly. He asked him if he was okay, and he said that he just gotten a few bruises from the fight. It's nothing, I'll be fine. But you could tell that he was in pain, and you felt bad for him. You wanted to do something to help, but you didn't know what exactly to do. Finally, after some thinking, you said, Bakugo, why don't you sit down for a minute? I'll go get you some ice. He hesitated for a moment, but then he agreed. He sat him down on the bench and went to get some ice from a store. When you came back, you found Bakugo sitting with his head in his hands. He looked up when you saw him, and you could see the pain in his eyes. Here, put this on your head, you said, handing him the ice pack. He took the ice pack and pressed it to his head. He then sighed in relief. Thank you. You sat down next to him and put your arm around him. You're welcome. I'm just glad you're okay. He smiled at you and leaned his head on your shoulder. You held him close, and you both felt a sense of peace and comfort. You knew that you would never forget what had happened that night, but you also knew that you would get through it together. You had each other, and that was all that mattered. After a while, Bakugo stood up. I think I'm feeling better already, he said. Are you sure? Yeah, I just need to move around a bit. You helped him up, and you continued your walk through the park. You both talked and laughed, and you soon forgot all about the bad things that had happened. You realized that you were both stronger than you ever realized you were. You had survived a kidnapping and a beating, and you had come out of it even closer than before. You knew that you would face even tougher challenges in the future, but you also knew that you would face them together. You were a team, and you would always have each other's backs, and whenever something happened, you would always be there to protect each other from the harm, like Bakugo did with you, how he got hurt during the kidnapping, and how you got hurt also was just because you wanted to both protect each other. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And goodbye!